staff. We could. You can't do it these days with volunteers as we tried for a number of years, and all volunteers.
Is that true, you professional staff?
Yeah, well, we're working with them. But you can't do it without the volunteers either. But the technical side of the thing is.
And the children used to come on the show and they would say, "This is Chief Mate so-and-so reporting from Dalton, Massachusetts. This is Chief Mate so-and-so reporting from Gloversville." And this little boy came on, he was so small that his ears turned over under the cap. And he comes on and he says, "This is Chief Mate so-and-so reporting from," where am I from?
Where am I from?
He must have learned it. Now, Glendora had a situation in, should we mention Long Island, where a cable provider didn't want her on the air. Tell us about what happened there.
Well, I was saying, in no plain Anglo-Saxon terms, that the supervisor of the county of Nassau in Long Island was wrong to let Scott Lord run a lawn sprinkling business without a consumer affairs license. On information and belief, I believe that supervisor said to Mr. Charles Dolan, "Get the dame off the TV." And they did it very fast. They called me up 5 hours before the show was to go on TV. And they said, "We don't think that public access TV is a place where people should talk over personal lawsuits." At that time, O.J. Simpson was on every TV station in the country.
Yeah.
Well, this is great because, as Pat and everybody here knows, it's a firm law, federal, state, and municipal, that you cannot exercise editorial control over public access. And they had committed that. That's Title 17, the U.S. Code 531E. So I had them. And I had it right on that audio tape.
And you defended yourself in court and all that.
I did.
Yeah, and you won.
And won.
Yeah, and as Glendora will tell you, if you have nudity, indecency, or obscenity, they would have had a case. But there's none of that on Glendora's shows. And
no, not an issue.
And when you, well, we have 1 minute left. And when you tune in to watch it on Pittsfield Community Television, the Access Channel, there's none of that. You might have tell some funny stories, and it's a great program, and it's a family show.
You're going to have us back, aren't you, for 13 more weeks?
Yes. Yes, we love having you here. And tell us about, quickly, you're working on you're up to around 3 hours on your documentary.
Yes, 3 hours and 3 minutes is done. Wayne Collins is the next interview, and then all of the people who came to your carousel.
All right, very good. Now, this is the end of the program. Thank you, Glendora. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot.
And this has been For Your Information. Thank you for listening.
Okay, here, I have to big pen.
That's all right. I'll make it big. I'll make it big.
Okay.
Yeah,
She asked me about the vegetarian club. That's how it started.
I
Oh, really?
And then she
read that
remembered
every week.
then she remembered the children's show.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah?
I remember the children's show as soon as I saw the name
Go ahead,
Glendora.
Greg.
And
Sure,
I thought,
yeah,
And I
okay.
thought,
What do you remember about the children's show?
well, I remember it was very engaging, and I watched it all the time.
Yeah.
And I used to, I remember the outfit, and I
Yeah.
used to, I don't know, it just was like fascinating to me. And so when I saw your name, I said, there can only be one Glendora.
I'm so glad.
I thought, and so when I told my brother, I saw your name and this advertisement, you know, this piece in the advertisement every week. I said to him, it has to be her. And he said, no, it can't be her. And I said, I think it's her.
Yeah,
You were right. You were right.
So I'm going to just go and just let him know, and my other brother also.
I'll give you an autograph. That'll prove it.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, this is the Glendora.
So I was just so happy that I'm so happy to see you, and so happy that I was correct, and I can say that to him. I can kind of rub it in, you know, say I was right. It was her.
Yeah,
It is her.
Greg, do you have? I'm out.
I don't know. Let me see. I don't know if I have
paper.
anything.
Yeah, I got paper here. So
Do you?
sure.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to show it to him. I'm going to say, this is the real Glendora.
Yeah, here you
This
go.
is so interesting. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
I think I got the next one.
Yeah, she's all over YouTube and Facebook and everything.
I'll have
She's
to
on
look.
all
I
that
don't have
stuff, so.
a computer at home, but I do go on computers.
Spell it for me, honey.
M-A-R-Y. A-N-N-E. And that's it. Just,
The last name?
oh, Murphy. M-U-R-P-H-Y. Well, God bless. This is so nice to...
So yeah, here we are. So but yeah, every time we come here, this happens. Every time we
You
come.
must be so tired of it.
Yeah, it comes here.
But it is an honor, isn't it, to remember
But
somebody
yeah,
that
she.
was in TV so long ago and she's still active. And
Yeah, I
out
never
there.
saw it,
brother.
but
You got your brother.
Diane Wright, thank you so much again. And hopefully I'll be able to see you in the future.
Oh, I'm so happy to meet you.
And your name is what?
Greg.
Greg.
Greg Russo. Yeah, nice to meet you. There we go.
He's my helper. Let's give you my number.
Okay.
Call me up, and we'll have lunch together at my
That's
house.
great. Thank you so much. And as I said, my two brothers, they have really good, precise memories. They're very good. And they would probably be able to tell you details about your
Yeah.
show.
As I say, we're going to make a documentary because those things don't exist anymore.
I know. And it was so much fun for us, for the
Yeah,
kids.
it was run by the children.
Uh-huh.
They were in it. They put on the list. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I was
Yeah.
watching. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you again.
That's cool.
And I'll let them know that you're doing this documentary.
Thanks.
Okay?
Thanks a lot.
Okay,
Derek.
bye-bye.
Bye. It's not that.
Welcome to the Wayne Collins Show. Wayne, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Commander?
Oh, you are an integral part of this documentary that we are making, Wayne. We're trying to recapture the wonders of live television in the late 1950s. You have never seen anything like it. You will never see anything like it. The whole thing was just so young and fresh and clean and spontaneous and uncontrived. It was just a great, great period. And the SS Glendora was a show for children, by children, with children, and run by children. And here is one of his super fans. Tell the folks from the beginning. One day you turned on the TV set, and what did you see?
You were replacing a show called The Friendly Fireman. And this particular show, and I remember the very first broadcast you did over WRGB for the SS Glendora show, you usually would start with a little cardboard, I assume, cut out, and it was the ocean with a boat. It said SS Glendora, and I believe someone was behind it, moving it back and forth, so it was as if the boat were rocking back and forth, and your theme song was the Sailor's Hornpipe, which would be playing every night. But this first night, the camera trained on you on the deck of your ship, and you had two boys and one girl with you that night. You had a pair of binoculars, and you said, the friendly fireman has left in his boat. Can you see him out there on the ocean? and you handed the binoculars to the first boy who was smaller, and he looked through them and he said no, and you handed them to the girl and you said, can you see him? And she said no, and you handed them to the third boy and he looked and you said, can you see him? And he said yes.
What a wonderful memory. The very first show you can remember. This is the year 1955, and you were how old?
7.
7.
And I remember you did not break for advertisements. You did all of your commercials live on the show. And of course, it was a 15-minute show, so every minute had to really count, and you packed a lot into your 15 minutes. And one ad I specifically remember, you were advertising a brand of sneakers. And you said to one of the boys, you've spoiled our bunting. And he had all the sneakers tied on the rope hanging down. And that was how you'd go into that commercial, and it was very smooth, and you'd have your commercial, and then you go back to the program. And
The children actually participated in everything.
Yes.
They were part of it.
yes, you used to have quizzes, maybe on safety, for example, and every question that was answered correctly merited a cut-off piece from your necktie. And so-
I had a necktie down here.
Well, pretty much. And some nights it was getting pretty short. Every night you had to have a new one.
Why did they think that was so funny? That they would go into hilarity just because I took a pair of scissors and cut a piece off of my necktie. They thought that was so funny.
I don't know why they thought it was funny. It just was part of the
But
program.
they just thought it was so funny.
As far as I was concerned, it was just part of the program. And then every night you showed a cartoon. And you used either a Looney Tune or a Merry Melody. And they might be Bugs Bunny or Porky Pig or something of that nature.
Hey, what's up, Doc?
And then you'd tell all of these different stories. You used to, and I always thought these were all real people, but apparently from what you told me, some of them were fictitious. You mentioned one boy, I don't remember his name, but you said, well, he's Irish and he's very fair-skinned and he has to be careful he doesn't become sunburned. And then you used to
Pretty
read,
graphic.
you used to read a letter every so often, and the girl's name was Molly Mo Hudson.
Oh, now I remember. First time in 60 years. Go ahead.
And it was like a running thing. She'd tell what she was doing, and I don't know if she was made up or if she was a real person.
Yes,
who wrote
she
it.
was fictitious.
Okay. And one night we did a shadow puppet show, and she was one of the characters in it, or at least mentioned in the show. Mentioned in that particular puppet show.
What a memory for a 7-year-old.
Remember, I was getting older during the time it ran. Because when you went off, I was either 9 or nearly 9. But I remember during that time, 1956 was when Perry Como came out with his hit record, Glendora. And you were very much aware of this. And for one of your contests one night, first prize, and this wasn't something that would take place on the show, but they would have to write in on this contest, apparently. The first prize was going to be an autograph by Perry Como. The second, third, and fourth prizes were carbon copies of the autograph. I don't know if anybody used carbon paper very much anymore.
No.
And then you had another contest when the prize.
I want to tell you that one prize was, I took the winner down to Manhattan to the rehearsal of the Perry Como show. That was a prize, that we could go to the rehearsal. And I remember he came out with 2 people. Those people, you know, folks, always traveled in an entourage. You never see Bob Hope alone. There'd be 10 people following him. And I said to Perry Como, I said, hi, I'm Glendora. I'm in love with a dolly named Glendora. She works in the window of a big department store. Hair of gold, she never get young, but she'll never be old. Oh, Glendora, I want to see more of you.
And of course, you know what Glendora was in the song.
She was a dummy in a department store window.
Yes.
And I always thought that that song was written by somebody up here in our Albany, Pittsfield area, and who had watched that show and got that name and then had that epiphany about that song. But that's purely on personal speculation.
I've tried to research that, but I couldn't find anything. The composer's name was Ray Stanley,
Ray Stanley.
and I can't find anything on it. I've been looking for the sheet music too, and I haven't been able to find it.
You never found it.
No,
What are you supposed to have?
I just haven't been in the right place at the right time.
Oh, you think you will find it?
I'd like to think so.
This is my friend, Wayne Collins, of 62 years, right, Wayne?
Going on 63. I have many specific memories of that program.
It's wonderful. Are you through your...
No, no.
Oh, good.
I remember one night you said, "You people wouldn't do me a favor, would you? Well, would you do me a favor and read the first chapter of your Bible?"
No kidding. Good girl.
And
Is that right?
Yes.
And did you do it?
Well, I have done it since.
Oh, 100 times.
And occasionally you'd make a personal reference. Once in a while you'd mention something about your husband, not very often. You mentioned your brother Ralphie and how your mother would get after him if he didn't wash his elbows.
Yes. It was like the boy who the mother said, piano teacher will be here in 15 minutes. Have you washed your hands? Yep. Have you washed your ears? Well, I washed the one next to her.
When the show was slated to end, of course, I wanted to remember what you looked like because I figured I would never see you again. So I wrote a letter on an old Underwood typewriter and sent it in and asked if I could have a picture. And I have a picture with me today that you sent me back in the fall of 1956.
We're going to get a close-up of this, boys. I'd like to have you get a close-up of this. And Wayne, hold it very steadily for a long, long time. Yeah. Is that good? Hold it there for a while.
And on the picture, you did write, "To Wayne, smooth sailing, Glendora." And that's how you always would end your program, by saying smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing. It was cute. Nowadays, those things are all replaced. It's not ships anymore in the sea. Wayne, tell them what's written up there.
Yes, across the top it says SS Glendora, Monday through Friday, 5:45 until 6 p.m. We packed a lot into those 15 minutes. And it says WRGB's unique children's show with a nautical theme. Games, tricks, cartoons, and parties are planned each day to delight the young crew.
I tell you, folks, you just can't get the feeling of it. How that show was run by the children. Little Jimmy Talbot was 9 years old. He lived in Schenectady. His daddy was a test pilot for General Electric. And little Jimmy Talbot, he sent in 100 postcards to get into the show. How you got onto the show was there was a treasure chest, and you sent your request in to be on the show. And then the children would pull out the names. Tell them about it.
Yes, that was the next thing I had on my list. When the show was going off, you had a big treasure chest that was full of letters. And this was full of letters of boys and girls who had not had a chance to be on the show. So you said, "I know it isn't the same as being on television, but I'm going to send you a picture and send you a packet of giveaways." And some of them in my neighborhood got those giveaways.
No.
I didn't, because
Really?
I didn't have a letter in, but they got
Yeah.
another picture, and they got whatever it was you had in the envelope that you sent. It was several things, as I remember. I couldn't tell you specifically what they were.
So Jimmy Talbot sent in 100 postcards to make sure you got on the show. And I always treated the children as adults. Always. And I treated Jimmy Talbot as an adult, and I asked him if he wanted to volunteer in the show. And he would come down every afternoon after school, and he would help put on the shoulder pads to show that these mateys were officers, and have their caps on, and have their tie, their black tie, and they were asked to wear a white shirt and either a black skirt or black pants.
Yes, and when the show would start, after the theme song with a little boat going back and forth, then it was trained on the children. As I remember, it wasn't trained on you right away. And they'd say, "This is Chief Mate so-and-so reporting from Schenectady, New York, or from Dalton, Massachusetts, or from Glens Falls, New York, or wherever it happened to be." And then after that, you would go into the program, whatever you had planned for that night. And on the very last episode, I remember that one very clearly too. You were playing some character. You weren't playing yourself at this time, but some particular character leading a meeting, and you had a podium and a gavel, and you were reading notes with a lorgnette, and you set it down, and I don't know if this was in the script or not, but you banged the lorgnette, and when you picked it up to read it, it was cracked. So I remember you saying, no.
Jimmy Dalwood, the show came not from that lavish Niskayuna Balltown Road where it is today. It came from an old bowling alley on the Mohawk River, right next to General Electric as you went over the Scotia Bridge. You'd go from Schenectady over Scotia, over the Hudson River, the Mohawk River, the Mohawk River. And he went upstairs to the refrigerator. We had no any such thing down in the cellar where my show came from. And he, first of all, he walked right in front of a camera, a live show. And then he dropped a bottle of Coca Marsh on the studio floor. Can you imagine that? What bigger mess could you have than a bottle of Coca Marsh? Chocolate syrup.
I do remember when you were doing Satellite 6, you were advertising popcorn that would pop in the pan, and the foil pan,
Yeah.
it would have like a
Jiffy
foil
Pop.
dome, and you'd peel it away, and sometimes it would spill onto the floor. Because again, you were doing live
Television, you know, there was no tape. Oh no, this is 1955. Tape for television did not come in until 1962.
And I remember very clearly the last show, and of course this was a sad time because the show was going off the air, and I can still hear you saying it. You said, we'll be sailing to another port, but there's no port like the first one. And you'd say smooth sailing. But I figure you must have had well over 1,000 children who appeared with you on that program, not counting those.
Do you think so?
Yes. Well, I figured the show ran for about a year and a half, about 75 weeks times 5. And I remember you having at least 3 with you on each program out in front. So it would be well over 1,000.
Very reasonable. You see, General Electric, in their great wisdom, in 1956, listened to a phony survey that people wanted movies. They didn't want live local shows. Can you believe anybody being that obtuse to think that? So they called us all together, Ernie Tatro, Earl Pudney, Earl Jarvis, Kathy the Cook Show, if you can name any of all the live shows.
Uncle Jim Fisk?
Yeah, Bill Mulvey, Bronco Bill. And of course, not Freddie Fryhofer, that was money. Oh no, we can't do that sponsored. But they called us all together and they canceled all the live shows. Well, in their great wisdom, in 9 months they called and said, will you come back? And that was the Satellite 6.
Yes, that came out in 1958.
You see, General Electric, in order to be a manager for General Electric, all you had to be was an accountant. You had to know how to count beans. Any more?
Well, those are my most vivid memories of the program.
You are a treasure. Oh, you are a treasure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Is there anything else that we could add?
Well, just that it was a much-loved show, and people still remember it to this day.
That's the thing. We carry it in our hearts. People in Walmart, it happens every, like Clark Nichols today. That happens almost every week, a couple of times in Walmart. And I regret so deeply that I didn't make an audio recording of these encounters. Why, there would be at least 1,000 of them. And I regret that we didn't make an audio tape of the show. You didn't have a videotape, but I could have made. Here you had all the resources of WGY right there. And all you had to do was ask an engineer to make a copy. And we'd at least had a copy of the audio. There was one thing though, Wayne. What do you remember about the 78 RPM I told you about?
About the 78 RPM?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Well, do you remember that WRGB had these news vans, Chevrolet, station wagons, you remember that? They were all beautifully lettered with WRGB, Channel 6 News. That was an early tape roll brainstorm. Well, all the staff had access to those vans, and you would just go to, now this is at Balltown Road, and you would just go to the back door and the artist entrance, and you'd take the key and you'd sign your name and the time, and you'd take a van. And I would go to these schools, to these assembly halls in the schools all over, Canada, Erie, Gloversville, Amsterdam, all over, and put on programs in the assembly hall. Well, I'm telling you folks, it was just like Bob Hope going to the troops overseas. They didn't care what you did, anything you did was right. You came to see them. And so we had this, WGY gave me a small audio tape, reel-to-reel audio tape machine. And fortunately, I operated it right, and I got a program, and they put it on a platter for me, on a RPM 78. What year is this? Anywhere between 1958 and 1962. And we have that. And I meant to bring it. It's in the box. If anybody can find the box and bring me that 78 RPM. And then Gregory Washburn, whom you met, I hope, he very cleverly made a video, a DVD of that RPM going around and around and around with the children applauding and screaming and accepting and just having such a grand time in their assembly hall.
And when you came to Pittsfield to the Berkshire Common on that occasion.
We should have Jim Schulman here. Jim Schulman has a picture of that. It was at the Berkshire Common? Does that exist today as a Berkshire?
Yes.
It exists today?
Yes.
It was a nice picture. Did you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. It was all in the uniform. I'm sorry I don't have the uniform.
Yes.
I'm sorry I don't have that. Another thing I'd like to tell you is that you know Jim Fisk? He ended up to be the last one to do Freddie Freihoffer. The man before Jim Fisk was in a convertible on Equinox Mountain on Sunday in Manchester, Vermont, and he hit a soft shoulder and was instantly killed.
His name was Bud Mason.
Bud Mason. Do I have my facts right?
Yes.
And the next Monday they had to come up with somebody. I think they came up with Bill Edwardson.
I'm not sure.
And it really wasn't his cup of tea. But first, I wanted to tell you about what his talent Jim Fisk was. He airbrushed that whole set. It really looked like a ship, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
It really, you really thought you were on the ocean on a ship. He airbrushed that whole set. And it was only 3 flats. 3 flats on hinges. Now, we are absorption here, our total engrossment of the brain right now is to recall the flavor of a live television show for children in the 1950s, the latter half of the decade. Have we done that?
I believe we have.
The fan mail was about 40 letters a day. The next segment of this show is going to be the people who came to the homecoming that we had here at the Carousel on July 1st of the year 2017, Anno Domini. And I have the names and numbers of all of those people, and I've called every one of them and asked them if they would jot down their memories of the Glendora to pass on this great thing that this is a Camelot. There was once a Camelot. And that will be the next segment. I'm going to interview them over the telephone. And that will be Satellite 6, Glendora Satellite 6. But there you are, great General Electric with all of their wisdom. Get rid of the live shows, and in 9 months later, will you please come back? I think the SS Glendora was the only one that did come back.
as I remember it was. And that Satellite 6 ran for about 4 to 4.5 years, as I remember,
Yes, it
from
did.
1958
Yeah.
to 62.
Yeah. I don't see if I can think of any funny incidents. I told a lot of them on Pat Gormalley. Let's see.
Well, I remember that you were advertising on Satellite 6 the Hone and Melodica, and you'd play it every so often.
Okay, go ahead, tell them.
And one night, I don't know if you actually dropped it or hit it on the console, and you said you're out of luck, it's not broken.
I told you, didn't I, that I said to the children the SS stood for steamship because it was a... No, that stands for stupid show. When video finally came in, the people really didn't know how to use it. The WRG people just didn't know how to use it. And by the time they finished taping the show, it was only 3 or 4 minutes and I could have gone live. Well, I was walking home in Niskayuna, and there were some kids playing out on the sidewalk, and the mother opened the door, the front door, and said, "Billy, Glendora's on," and he says, "I'm not going to watch that dumb show." And he turned around and who was walking down the street? Let's see, what else? Oh, a little boy came in to be on Freddie Freihoffer. This was after tape came in. And little boy ran up to Mae Dunn, the WRGB receptionist, and he said, "Can I see Glendora?" And Mae Dunn, without thinking how it sounded, he said, "Glendora isn't live today." Any other things you have to recall, dear?
Just that it was a very unique show, and that I always enjoyed it, and I was very sorry when the show came to an end.
You said you were awfully sad, little boy.
Yes, that's why I sent for the picture, so I would have something to remember it by.
Oh, yeah. And you did. You put it on your mirror in your bedroom, didn't you?
Yes.
For how many years? 60 years?
Well, not 60, but a few.
Well, now, let me see. Have we covered everything for the SS Glendora? Okay, I'll be back with you all, with the people who came for the reunion at the carousel last summer. I'll be back with you all that. Let's see if I can tell you a joke. Did you hear about the college president who was relieved of his duties? And in his last speech before the board of directors, board of trustees, he said, "I exit this job the same way I entered it, fired with enthusiasm." Do you know about the church that had a Bible selling contest, and the man who sold the most Bibles started, and he started severely. And the parishioners said, "Well, what did you say to the people to sell the most Bibles?" And he said, I just said, do you want to buy a Bible, or do you want me to read it to you? Grace and peace unto you all. Thank you, my dear Wayne.
Thank you for having me.
See you soon, folks. Smooth sailing.
Can we get gas first, I think? Or...
Oh, always, honey, always.
All right, gotta do that, so... All right. Okay. Have to get
Sue
out
was
of the truck
home.
here.
Do you know the route to Pittsfield?
Yes.
You know how to go to Pittsfield?
Uh-huh.
How are you going?
Well, Pittsfield, this is 20. We go 20 east?
Right.
Okay. You mean correct, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That is certainly correct.
There. Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll make it there. Okay. So,
And what's the price of it? How much a gallon?
$267.9. Yeah, the price went up a little bit in the past 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, it did. So.
There's Route 20 East, and that's where we go.
So you want me to fill it up then, I guess, or do you fill the tank up?
Okay, I just gave Gregory $100 for the gas. So we were saying, we did all of the telephone calls for Friday, all of the cards, and then we went and did all of the altruisms, 5, a whole page actually, more than 5, the H's, and we went to the green sheets that Glendora made and did a whole page of those. It was a very productive call with Jeff Corsella. You recorded that, I think. And a very productive call with Maureen Shepard. And Rudy Secor is out of it. So, I want to get this Pittsfield handing out the money to the homeless. I want that accomplished. And I want the SS Glendora documentary accomplished. We have to do a TV show that consists of Gregory and Glendora Pass It On, 55 minutes, and the Glendora Vegetarian Club. I think that's what we'll do when we get home. Plus, we'll record the in-calls through the notifications. Plus, we will do the in-mail. Plus, the Glendora Vegetarian Club. Plus, make the columns to sort out the expenses for January. And we'll start entering a few. And we will do the incomes, all of the ins for the lifetime expenses. And then we will do Philadelphia, and then the Epson. Anything else? Philadelphia through Atlanta. No. I want you to stay awake tonight and get all those things done. And start out with a clean sheet tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be laundry and Walmart and clean the hat room and clean the outside hall and clean the bathroom. Now, JVC, you are going to take the SS Glendora documentary with Wayne Collins. You have the emery board for the rough fingernails. Now, what do you got in your pocket? What are the jokes for today?
Drive Glendora here in the Lincoln. We lowered the Lincoln out.
I guess that's not registered.
This is the Christian Center in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. It's changed considerably since we were here last before.
41 birthday?
Here you go.
Oh, thank you very much.
Here you go, honey. Thank you.
Today? Today? Today her birthday? Valentine's! They're Valentine's right there!
My nurse came. So with the cameras in there.
All right. So, does anybody want to say a prayer to bless our meal before we start?
Yeah, she helps take care of them.
Yes.
I don't know how well she likes it. I'm not sure with that.
Okay.
Now then, people, this is the Wayne Collins Show, edition number 2. And Wayne did the sensible thing. After any interview, you always go away saying, why didn't I tell him about this? Why didn't I tell him about that? Well, Wayne, I'm happy to report, has more good things to tell us. This is my friend Wayne Collins. Hi, dear Wayne.
Hello, Glendora. Glad to be back with you again.
My pleasure. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good. How are you folks? Wayne, go right ahead now. You wanted to tell us something more about the SS Glendora television show 1955, 1956.
Yes, I wanted to speak a little bit today about the nautical theme of the show SS Glendora. And it was as if this were the thread that ran throughout the whole series, throughout the whole program. And I think that this motif is the reason that I have such vivid memories of the show today. And I remember that everyone was dressed in uniform. The boys would wear the black pants and a white shirt and a necktie, and the girls would wear a white blouse and a dark skirt, and they all had the sailor cap. And I was especially intrigued with the little flags that used to go across the top of the cap. And I believe you told me those were hand-painted.
Yes. You know, back in those days, folks, they had signal flags. That's how they communicated from one ship to another.
And it was almost as if they were members of a club who were attending a meeting each night. And, of course, you were the captain, and when they'd salute and say, this is Chief Mate so-and-so reporting from Albany, New York, or Troy, New York, or Pittsfield, Massachusetts, or wherever it was, then the show would get rolling. And when I said that it was as if they were members of a club, I had this copy of the duties of a fleet ship captain.
Duties of a fleet ship captain.
And this was from WBZ TV in Boston, but it kind of reinforced the impression I had of it being a club when I read these rules.
It reinforced them?
Yes. I don't know if you have included these or not already in your documentary.
Go ahead, please, please.
It's because it says to do good and avoid evil, to be obedient to our parents.
Do good and avoid evil and be obedient to our parents.
Be respectful and courteous to all, to do unto others as we would have others do unto us.
Oh, you can't beat that one.
To be loyal and faithful to God and country, to be serious and to call a meeting once, I don't know if it was once a week, it's kind of cut off here, with your fleet ship members, to watch activities aboard the lead ship, Glendora, every Saturday morning at 8:30, WBZ TV Boston, and to see that your, I guess it's friend crew members do the same. To lead your fleet ship crew members in activities of your weekly meetings, to write a report to your skipper once, I don't know if it's once a week or once a month, that part was cut off, but this really reinforced my impression of it being like a club.
Wayne, I would like to have you read those first 8 again, please.
Yes. The first one was to do good and avoid evil. The next one, to be obedient to our parents and respectful and courteous to all. To do unto others as we would have others do unto us. To be loyal and faithful to God and country. To be serious and to call a meeting once, I don't know if it's once a week, with your fleet.
Once a day.
Once a day with your
No, I'm kidding.
well, once
Every hour.
with your fleet ship members. To watch activities aboard the lead ship Glendora every Saturday morning at 8:30, WBZ TV Boston,
Yeah.
and to see that your fellow crew members do the same.
No, those were the ones I wanted. That to do unto others as you would have them do unto you? That comes from the Sermon on the Mount, and that would be Matthew chapter 7, verse 11. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Can't be any simpler. And our friend Gregory Washburn is on camera.
You always referred to the boys and girls as crew members. So the guests were always referred to as crew members, and you'd say, crew members, now we'll do this, or whatever it was you were doing, but it was always crew members, and it was almost as if they were the club members. And you interspersed nautical terms throughout the program.
You like those nautical terms, didn't you?
Yes. Now, I remember one night, one of the boys had won several giveaways. They usually had to do something to get these. They didn't just give them to them. Usually it was answering questions, a series of questions and a quiz. And you said to this particular boy, how are you going to get all of this home? And he said, in the car. You said, I think you'll need a ditty bag, don't you? And that was the first time I had ever heard that term, and I've remembered it ever since. And I remember for the first week or so that there seemed to be repeat guests among the children, and this was logical as the viewers hadn't yet had a chance to write in and say they'd like to be on the program. And then I think in a very short time you had a treasure chest full of names, and letters, and postcards, and so forth from the different ones. And interestingly, this was the first time I had ever heard the song The Sailor's Hornpipe, because it was used as a theme song for the SS Glendora program. And as far as I was concerned, this was your song.
Really?
Yes. And to this day, when I hear the Sailor's Hornpipe, I can still see that little boat rocking back and forth on the cardboard ocean at the start of your program.
Well, how does that sailor sing it to me? Oh, yeah.
You remember it now.
Yeah.
And
No, I think Wayne is phenomenal. Here he is, a 9-year-old boy watching that show. And now you're how old now, Wayne?
70. Actually, I was 7 when I started watching it in 1955.
Look at that, folks. How he carried those memories and how he carried the love of it in his heart.
And I don't know how long this, I don't really remember how long this went on, but it was more than one night. I don't know if it was the first week or a week or so or longer than that. But at the end, one of the boys would say, all hands on board, return to your stations, back to your duties.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I don't remember that. Oh, that's so grand that you recall it. Say it again, please.
They'd say, all hands on board, return to your stations, back to your duties.
It was so realistic, wasn't it?
Yes.
And that's what that's your point. The nautical terms were so consistently used.
Yes, and consistently, at the end of the program, you would say smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing. Now, isn't that funny? I've never been on a ship in my life.
And of course, when the show was going to go off the air, I wasn't happy about that, and I wrote in and asked if I could have a picture. And you did send me an autographed picture, which I still have, and I showed in the other interview. I don't have
Yes,
it with
we
me
did.
today.
We got Bruce Goguen got a wonderful job. Oh, he did a great job on the video.
But it was a thrill for me to see the inscription when you had written my name, and underneath you put smooth sailing, Glendora. And I took that as a very personal message.
You did? In what way, Wayne?
That you were really wishing me smooth sailing. I mean, you had never seen me and never spoken with me, but yet it was very personal to have my
isn't
name
that
on
lovely?
the picture.
Oh, that's so nice.
So all of these memories have stayed with me all through these years, all these decades.
I'm so happy that you sent me that birthday card and started up this friendship. What's it been, a year and a half?
2 years.
2 years?
Almost 2 years.
I was only 87 then?
It was for your 88th birthday, May 1st.
88?
Mm-hmm. And I had started watching A Chat with Glendora shortly before that.
No, well, I love the additions that you made. Did you have any more that you wanted to tell us?
Well, that's all I have for the time being.
Were you in Pittsfield when I came to see the children in the park?
I was in Pittsfield, but it wasn't the park in my neighborhood.
Now, how about, Wayne, you interview Gregory, how Gregory and Glendora met through another television show, The Chat with Glendora.
Okay. All right.
This is my friend,
All right.
Gregory Charles Washburn, who lives in Poughkeepsie, and we have known each other since 2006. And Wayne's going to interview Gregory to get the story on that.
So Gregory, I know you never watched. I know you never watched the SS Glendora or the Satellite 6 programs because you wouldn't be old enough
Oh
to have
yeah,
seen those.
yeah. Just see pictures and all that. It just seems like it was a hit show to me. Anyway.
Yes, it was.
There was a lot of fan. She got a lot of fan mail sent in. And all.
Oh yes, because at the end of the SS Glendora show, they had the treasure chest that still had a great many letters in the bottom of people who hadn't had a chance to come on the
really?
show. But you began watching the A Chat with Glendora show, and this was 2006, is that correct?
Oh, 2000. Yeah, just on from where I lived from flipping the channels, and I saw like a Chat with Glendora's channel show up, and I watched it, and I'm pretty sure it was in the daytime. It was a daytime when I saw it, and I just watched it, and I saw the character generator going, and there was video scenes and cars and things moving and all that, and I like to learn about things, and I thought, well, what is this? And it just looked like something different that I'd never seen, so I checked it out, and then then towards the end of the show, it said for a free happy book, called her number, because she used to give out free happy books, but I think the show I saw was like an older show, because she had stopped. I think she had stopped sending them out, and but I didn't know that. But I called up, and I called up her number, and she put the number on the screen. So I called up and introduced myself, and I said, "Hi, this is Greg. I would like to get a free happy book if I could." And then within a day or so, Glendora she returned the call, and then she invited me to come up to go visit her and see her, and I did get to a chance to meet her up there. Then she interviewed me in the happy house at that time. So.
And this was 2006.
Yeah, I think around 6. I don't know if it was 6 or 7, right around that time right then. But where I was living then, I was living at that time, I didn't have any cable. And for me to watch cable TV, I had to go back home. I had to go back home to my parents' house, and then I would sit there and watch some cable TV or record it, so that I could take that out to where I lived, which was kind of desolate, and then I had something to watch and all that out in my place out there. So.
Do you remember the specifics of the topic she was treating on the first program you ever saw?
I think the first program I saw was it wasn't really it was just scenes of her. I think she was driving. A scene of her driving in the red Lincoln on the local parkway. I guess she was driving on the parkway, and there was like from camcorder scenes, like close-ups and quick moves and all that, and it wasn't a regular show, but I think she was driving on the Taconic Parkway. I think that's what it was, and but Glendora, she doesn't drive now, but that was the first show I saw. And then the characters came on to free happy book and said that, and then her number, and I really was kind of quite curious at that time, but also I'm was a big TV watcher, and yeah, 20 years before that, I'm sure I used to watch David Letterman all the time, and I'm sure I saw her appearance on David Letterman because I used to watch David Letterman all the time, and that was probably my first view of her was on the Letterman show when she came out then, and this is I never thought that I'd ever get to meet the lady, but just as one show she was on. So.
I never thought that either when I used to watch back in the 50s. But
yeah, she was on Letterman, and that was she was supposed to be on one night, and then they went late, and they pushed her to the next night, and then so she was on the next night, and it was it was a good interview, I thought, anyway. So they showed some of her TV ad commercials that she put on. They showed some of that, and it was a good. It was a good episode, anyways. That's my first introduction to Glendora.
Rob Reiner was on that night. Rob Reiner.
That Letterman appearance is still available on the internet.
Yeah, it's on the internet.
View it.
Oh, you can still view it. So yeah, that's something. So.
Well, that's very good, gentlemen.
Too. And have you noticed? Can you observe any changes in the chat with Glendora over the years you've been watching it?
I can't say that she has just kind of a one kind of a show, but she'll go and there's different versions of it, or she'll go and she'll set the camera up on a nice sunny day. She'll go outside and set up the camera and set up the chair, and she'll sit there and with her book and a table there talking to the camera and just going talking about different things about God and things like that, and that'll be one day, but the next day there'll be scenes of her going being driven to some city to do something, to go to a post office or something like that, and it's all has to do with promoting her show and all that. That's what it has to do with.
And .com.
Then she records, inside the house. She'll set the camera up, and then she'll sit at the table and show the events that happen at the happy house, and record that, and just make calls. She makes phone calls, and you see some of that on her show too.
Do you have a favorite part of the program?
Oh, oh goodness, let's see. I've seen, at this point in my life, I've seen so many episodes of her show, and I've uploaded so many videos that I've seen, and I can't say that there's a favorite part for me, but I've seen, we've shot interviews, and we've gone to Walmart, and we've shot video in Walmart and of Glendora shopping, and it's just Glendora's the big picture. It's like, and Glendora, she says she's not really a private person. She's kind of like an open book, I guess you could say, right now. So.
And as a result of watching the program, now you're working with her.
I'm working with I help her and with the transportation and some shopping and production, or help her produce her shows and all that. And
with the mail too, isn't it?
With the mail, we do a lot of the mail, and
last night the Glendora Vegetarian Club you helped.
Yeah, we helped out at the Vegetarian Club last night, and it was interesting. Anyways,
the show has really become a part of your life. In other words.
Well, yeah, that's what I told Glendora. I said, it was kind of an off the cuff comment. I said, Glendora, you're like a big part of my life, and I don't live in the area, and I have to drive up here to see her, but anyways, so I help her out, and she helps me, and she compensates me, and And at this point in my life, I don't mind helping her out. That's something that's okay for me to do right now. Yeah, I enjoy doing it right now.
So did you gentlemen have a good visit with each other?
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any final words you want to say?
Well,
Anything you want to say before we part?
Yeah, it's just for me, all I have to, there's really not a lot of video records of the show, but just a lot of black and white pictures and things like that. And the pictures are, I look at the old pictures, and to me they're almost riveting to sit and look at. When I see that, and it's something, I'm all for preservation and preserving all the history of the show and all. And it would be great to get a video of the show if one would ever turn up, someplace, sometime. You can't really say if that's ever going to happen or not, but.
And of most importance is the fact that Glendora has made a difference in the world, in doing for others, in seeing the good in the world, the good in mankind, and in her expression of her appreciation for the goodness of God.
Well, these are all things I will try to live up to, dear Wayne and dear Gregory. Thank you so much for your time here together and with all these people that we can help. Amen.
Amen. There's snow all over. Which way are we going here? Go that way. That was good, so.
That was nice. The four of us met over there. Debbie Holden came.
Yeah, that was nice of her to stop by, so. Huh.
$100 to the Christian Center. She gave me a receipt. This is Route 20?
Yes, yeah.
Good. Route 20 West?
Yeah. Yeah, this is it. So. This is the way we came in. So.
Well, goodbye again, Pittsfield. Mission accomplished. A good time we had by all.
What is this way?
thank you so much for meeting with us.
No. Well, this should be fun.
Diana, what do you remember about the SS Glendora?
Well, I must say that it was one of the shows as a child I do remember. We were not the family in our neighborhood to get a television first. Our neighbors, so many of our neighbors had television, so it was a big deal when we finally got our television. And there were several programs that the family enjoyed watching, but as a child, I definitely remember watching and being fascinated at an early age that there was a woman who was the key person, because so many shows, the man was the focus. And I can tell you a quick story. My family, an Italian family, my father came from Italy, and my maternal grandparents came from Italy. An Italian family, sons are very important. I happen to be the third daughter in a family of 8 children. So when I was born, my father went back home from the hospital to my maternal grandparents and said, "It's just another daughter." So I had to prove that as a female, and it always struck me. Through my life, I have thought about gender issues, and I must say, as a child, I was very aware that you were there leading that show. I remember that there were cartoons that you would often have children, I assume, from the local school, like Gilbert, Albany.
Oh, yes. Yes, the whole area within, I would say, within a 70-mile radius.
I don't remember ever seeing anyone from the Berkshires on the show, and we lived in South Lee. Channel 6 was the only station that came in on our particular television that had, I assume, a roof antenna. We lived in very close to the Stockbridge South Lee line, in the valley next to Beardell Mountain. And I don't know if it was a type of antenna that my parents had purchased. Why? Because I know our neighbors had different shows. They saw Howdy Doody, et cetera, et cetera. But I remember Jim Fisk was on right about the same. Did he come on before or after you?
Sometimes before and sometimes after. They moved them around.
Oh, okay. But Channel 6 was the main station.
Oh, yes.
That,
General Electric, yes. General Electric.
Right. So that's the station where so much of our news came from. And even today, my husband and I are big public radio fans, and our own Alan Sharjock is over in the Albany area, and we have that station on all day long. I must say that, since the 70s, we've had horses, and we moved to the outskirts of Lee, and we do have a television, but it's not connected to any kind of service. We just have DVDs or videos. Oftentimes I get them from the library that I will watch, and it's not connected. So television, it changed because there's, when our daughter, we have one daughter, and when she was a child, we loved the Muppet Show. But going back to the cartoons that she had, my husband and I were trying to remember the various cartoons, and he doesn't remember if they were exactly your show or Moscow was one, and Crazy Cat, and of course, even the Disney cartoons, when we go to Tanglewood, my husband will say, "I remember this, listening to this when we watched cartoons, the Disney cartoons." Now it's fun. Back, with
Clutch Cargo, and even Mr. Magoo,
Right, right.
and Felix the
Right.
Cat,
Excuse me?
and Felix the Cat, and Porky Pig, and Sylvester the Cat, and
Right.
and Bugs Bunny,
Mhm.
and Elmer Fudd.
Right, right. Yeah, those are definitely
So,
the cartoons
yeah.
that we watched. Now, another woman on Channel 6 was Louise the Weather Woman. Were you
No.
working at the same time that she was on?
No, 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 no,
Okay.
no. The SS Glendora was 1955, 56, and then it became Satellite 6 with Glendora.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, your last name was never mentioned, as I remember. So let's share, you were just Glendora.
Yes, that's right, like Cleopatra. Like Cleopatra, right. Like Hildegard. Do you remember Hildegard? I remember Hildegard.
No, I can't say that is a name that I can place.
So did you convince him that women have a place in this world?
Oh, goodness. From Ian Pignatelli Anderson, who taught in our South Lee. It was a 3-room school, 6th grade. I had Ian Pignatelli Anderson in my 5th and 6th grade. She was so unique. She reserved Friday afternoons for square dancing. She took a group of the girls who got top grades in I think it was a spelling test, or it was some type of test that it was a group of girls who got the best grades, and she took us all down to G Block down in Hartford, Connecticut, and she spent the afternoon crying on fur coats.
Wow.
And it was like a world, a very different world from the one I was growing up in.
Well, but
We only jogged. My father watched Steve Williams, the show that was on Channel 6, and of course, Yuri Kelmo, the Italian, that was another show. And my father loved Groucho Marx. Teenage Barn was another show that I remember from years ago, and even one local lead young woman did go on performing ballet.
well, do you remember anything about the SS Glendora, or is it all a blur?
When I saw the pictures, it came back how, you would have the cartoons on for a while, and then you would be with the children, and I would love to know if you would share more about what was going on.
Well, now, why did you, that was nice that you came to the rendezvous that we had July 1st at the Carousel in Pittsfield.
Well, one of the reasons my older sister Mary and I did show up at the carousel, we didn't realize that you were going to be there. I am a big fan of the gentleman who wrote the Don Pilgrim book, and we knew that Missy was going to be part of the carousel, and if you wrote on the Missy, your name
Oh, okay.
was going to be for a trip, possibly to win a raffle for a trip over to Ireland. And I had just won a guitar, a Fender guitar, the Berkshire Museum. So I knew there wasn't any way, after winning a Fender guitar out of all the 3,000 entrants that were at the Berkshire Museum, I knew I could never win this trip to Ireland too. But that was a reason for heading to downtown Pittsfield that night. So it was just fun to see you there.
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice. Well, now Bobby Reno in East Greenbush, she said practically the same thing you do. That Glendora showed us that that we little girls could grow up and be captains of a spaceship.
I don't think that I was thinking even going that I was just so pleased that there was a woman there that I could see was doing something, and it felt important to me.
Yeah.
And I did work with Pittsfield's first woman mayor, Ian Everett-Slokowski, as her executive secretary. I loved working with her, and with my Literacy Network students, I definitely love sharing, stories about Monset from the Berkshires, the first woman to go to court to change her status from slave to a free woman. I always talk about Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, but even later, though, women like Shirley Chisholm or Gloria Steinem, even Janis Joplin. When Janis Joplin said, "Women don't need to wear girdles," that made such an impression on me because growing up in the 50s, so much of what was expected of women, it was just all so rigid. And when I was drawn to people who were free thinkers or who could think outside of the box.
Yes.
And
Yes, definitely.
I definitely was interested in strong women with interest in social justice. Although I must say we are blessed here in the Berkshires with some wonderful men in Massachusetts. I mean, we were so fortunate to have Jamal Patrick as our governor for some time. That there are our state rep City Pignatelli and our state senator Ben Downing, and now Adam Hines. These are the wonderful, wonderful men that we have had in politics here. But working with the nuns from Mexico, I often like to let them know about women who have had strong roles in our country, and I must say I probably do promote them a little bit more. So my husband is just coming in, and the alarm is on. He's going to shut it off.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. All right, honey. I want to thank you very much.
Okay.
And I hope to see you in Pittsfield again.
Well, that would be fun. Are you making another?
Well, I think we want to go back to the carousel on July 1st,
Oh.
or whatever that weekend is. We want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
All
That
righty.
would be fun.
All right, hon.
Maybe it's the local paper, Berkshire Eagle.
Yes, right. They gave us good articles.
Oh, they did, but I think it was after your visit, right? I didn't
Yeah.
see anything before. It was fun that they put it in after your visit.
No, they had an article in before, honey.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jim Schulman wrote it. It was very good.
Oh, well, maybe I can go back and find it sometime. But
Yeah. Did you hear the joke that the man came home from work and he said to his wife, "Honey, I'm going to lose my job. The company has found something that'll do the work of 5 men." And she said, "One woman."
oh, I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
Okay, Diane, I want to thank you for visiting with the SS Glendora.
Okay. Well, I'm wishing good health to you, and hope that when you visit, I guess you'll give me a quick call and let me know
Right.
if you will be in the area.
And we used to say smooth sailing.
Okay.
And we used to say,
One of my favorite things is being out on the lakes here in the Berkshires. We have a 2-seat kayak, and being out on the water is really fun. I did want to ask you too, how did your show come about?
how did the show come about?
Yes.
Well, the friendly fireman either had a disagreement or anyway he was out, and they needed a show quickly, and the SS Glendora was just a ticket. And that was in 1955.
Okay, and who are some of the key people that would have gotten this show started?
It would be Al Zink and Raymond Wellpot.
Okay, it was Raymond, what was the last name?
Wellpot. He was a GE manager of WRGB.
Oh, okay. Well, and I'm sure you possibly, are you still in the Albany area?
Oh yes, I'm in Nassau. You know where Nassau is?
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm right here on Route 20 with you.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was actually over at the hospital in Albany after I had an aneurysm situation happen back in 1999, and my husband would come to visit, and he would use Route 20. So
Yeah, that's right.
Very familiar with NASA.
Yes, right. Yes, particularly for one cop who used to like to give tickets, but.
Oh, yes, I was just thinking that crossed my mind. That's funny that you say that because I think that's known all around this area.
Yeah,
you go through NASA.
He's gone. He's gone, dear. But they still like the income from the traffic tickets. Okay.
Well, it's like our Officer Obie from Stockbridge is gone, and our Norman Rockwell, but, people still remember Officer Obie from Rural Country Film and Story Ellis's Restaurant, and of course Norman Rockwell is just, his fame has increased so much with the museum and all.
Yes.
So, well, maybe someday if you would like to go to the museum with me, the Rockwell Museum, we could make a date for that.
Well, thank you very much, Diane Wellington.
Okay, you take care. Bye-bye.
May the Lord be with you and keep you. Amen.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hi, James Curtis. It's Glendora.
Hello.
Hi, James.
Yeah?
Can you tell the people what you remember about the SS Glendora?
Well, I remember watching cartoons. I believe Felix the Cat was one of them. And the first Space Angel. Does that sound right?
No, not the Space Angel, but certainly Felix the Cat.
Okay, that could be the guy that we put, Okay. I remember you had a uniform on, and I believe you had a hat on when you did it. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, that's very good, James.
And you had kind of big gloves, big white gloves.
Yes.
Open at the end, is that right?
Yes.
And I remember you would point when I think when you went to a cartoon or something. Does that sound right?
Yes, Jim.
I was only in kindergarten then, but this is
You were in kindergarten. Then you were 6 years old.
Yeah, well, no, it's actually 5.
Yeah, 5, right.
Right, the kindergarten. I remember you. I guess you had commercials. You went to commercials on the show, though, didn't you?
Yes.
I remember more the space station. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. Bosco and Coco Marsh.
That's right. That's right. And I really enjoyed watching you in the afternoon.
Did you?
You know?
You would come home from school, would you, and go and sit down at the TV?
That's right. Past, was it 4 o'clock? About?
No, it was late around 5.
Around 5. Okay, well, it's been a while. You were probably on after Freddie Freihoffer, was that correct?
Yeah, after or before. They moved him around quite a few times.
They did move them around?
Yes.
of course, it was always done live, correct?
Yeah, oh yes, in those days we had no tape.
But was any of the shows, have any of them been were taped and saved, or was all live?
Say again, Jim?
What?
Say again, what did you say?
Were any of the shows ever taped?
Toward the very end in 1962. Tape came in 62, and along about late summer, they taped 2 or 3 of them.
Oh, have they been saved?
What did you say?
Have any of the shows been saved to tape?
No, 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 not so far as we know.
Okay, did you get, just, can I ask you that, did you talk to WRGB?
Yes, we did. And they were not particularly enthusiastic about giving us footage. When a documentary was made of the a chat with Glendora, our WRGB did not really cooperate.
Oh, because I know they found old tapes of Teenage Barn. There was a show on, I don't know if you remember that show.
Yes,
And they found tapes in the basement or something.
they did.
So
Yeah, I remember hearing that when they had a promotion, maybe 2 years ago on something anniversary, they did play a chat with Glendora. They played Satellite 6 or something. They had something. But we were never privy to it.
you were not.
And I tell you why I think, Jim, is that WRGB, General Electric, was so scintillating and so brilliant and so much a part of the history of early television, and had the glory that the WRGB that followed was rather pale up against the great color of the real WRGB. And I think they just got sick and tired of hearing how great we were.
Well, I don't know, did any of the kids, I have some ideas, because I wrote down, when you called me,
Yeah.
I have it been down here, some of this is what I've been telling you already. Did any of the parents come with the home movie cameras you had back then, and maybe filmed you and with the kids in the studio?
No, they came with still cameras.
Or they still cameras? They didn't have home movie cameras?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
wondered if there might be some film out there somewhere of it,
Yes, and now that I think of it in retrospect, I was dumb not to have such a camera.
Yeah.
I really should have had it. And even further, even if I didn't have a video camera, I should have had WGY audio tape it.
Yeah, that's what we're going to ask you too. So they didn't do any of that then either, huh?
No.
Because I know very, very few things are saved from the 50s and 60s on TV, I know.
Yeah.
Because it was done live. Almost everything was done live. And
Yes, it was.
It was expensive.
Well, that was the charm of it, Jim. It was live, and it was children live.
Yeah. Did you ever, how many kids usually have? 5 or 6 on it?
Yes. Yes, we used to have 5 or 6.
Because I never remember kids being on. You should understand I was only 5 then, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I don't really know, but I remember you were in the space station and talking.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed watching it every afternoon.
You did really. You really enjoyed it, huh?
I really did.
Yeah.
Because it was good entertainment, funny entertainment.
Yes, it was, and it was clean.
Yeah, it wasn't like what you got now. Of course, back then there was no such thing as Nickelodeon or cable TV wasn't really exist,
No.
So
No,
we had a few stations to choose from. The 3 networks, NBC, ABC, and CBS,
Yeah. And I was always sure to treat the children as adults. I never talked down to them as kids.
You did, that's right. You did. And that was part of the enjoyment of it.
I think so, yes.
Not what you got now, really, but but it was, you had local shows then, like you had Romper Room, remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And
remember Ding Dong School,
Right.
and I remember Mr. Rogers.
Oh, yes. He was a little bit later, wasn't he? But not much.
Yeah, and I remember Captain Kangaroo.
Oh, yes, I used to watch him when he was on in the mornings.
Yep, and Howdy Doody.
That I don't remember, but I'm sure I saw it.
Yeah.
You know, my brother remembers, he's older than me, but he doesn't, you know, but I don't remember, but I probably watched it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know?
But
Your show was always done in black and white, though, right?
yes, color didn't come in until, a few years later. Yeah, it was always black and white. The General Electric, of course, was trying to beat the market and get the color in, but they lost, of course, to RCA.
That's right. They came up with the color first.
Yes.
System first, really.
Yeah, they did. They really dominated the market. Well, gee, Jim, you remember quite a lot.
Well, I do. I have a very good memory. Everybody tells me that. You know?
It must be, it must be the people who owe you money, huh? Yeah, the ones who remember you well are the ones who owe you money, right? Yeah. Right, Jim. Can you go ahead?
After you left the show, can I ask that?
What'd you say, dear?
After you left the show, what did you do?
When I left the show, WRGB in 1962.
Yeah, what'd you do after that?
Well, I always wanted to, Jim, I always wanted to feel the closeness and the greatness of God, and I always wanted to do what God said. And having been so busy, it got neglected. So I just went into kind of a retreat.
Really?
Yeah, I went into a kind of retreat. I went back to television 10 years later in 1972.
Yeah, what'd you work for, Diane?
After that, it was public access television. Cable had come in. Yeah, cable TV came. Excuse me? What'd you say, Jim?
Cable TV came.
Yes, it came in 71. And I went back into television in 72. And that's where I've been ever since.
Yeah, well, TV's really two eras, broadcast and cable, you know?
Yes, there are. And most people don't know that.
It really is, because cable gives you so many more choices now.
Definitely. And broadcast TV never should have taken the public's airwaves the way NBC did and CBS. They just took them and the public couldn't get on television.
That's true.
And then cable came along with its multiple capacity, and we did have pioneers who made Congress aware that the public must have access to TV.
That's right, and it's got a lot of good shows, particularly for kids like Sesame Street, Dame, and you know, go on.
Yeah.
And all these others, and but it must have been something to be there, because you were there really at the beginning of television, weren't you really?
Yeah, right at the beginning, yes, 1950, 49, 50, yes. Right at the beginning of broadcast television, and right at the beginning of cable, which was set 1970.
Oh yeah, you really both of them.
Yeah, both of them, yeah. Well, gee, you know a lot of it. Why don't you go on public access, Jim, and have a children's television show?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how good I'd be at it.
Yeah. What town do you live in?
Great Barrington.
Where?
Great Barrington.
Oh, you live in Great Barrington. Oh, that's a lovely spot. Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
You know where it is?
Sure. Where Route 20 and 7 meet, right?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Very famous. The Red Lion Inn.
Oh, that's up in close by.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Very close by, and it's small town. Well, it's big around here. Small towns around it.
Yes. Yes.
You know, we're the big town down around here, but then there's Pittsfield up north.
Yes.
You know, where I saw you.
Yes. give me just a second, honey.
Okay.
What was it like? You would come home from school, and then what would you do when you came home from school?
Well, I would probably I'd turn on the TV or something, and then I'd watch Freddie Freihoffer and you, I guess.
Yeah.
You know? And then I guess that'd be it, I guess.
Yeah, that was it. And then did you have supper? Did you go out, or did you have supper in the living room?
Well, we ate in the kitchen.
Yeah.
We ate in the kitchen. The TV was in the den, black and white, and we had an antenna on the roof.
Yeah.
And and my father had an antenna on the roof, which everybody did back then. This year,
Yeah. Yeah.
We were high up, so we got good reception. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We lived up. Matter of fact, my old house was right next door to my new house where I'm in right now. We live high up. You know?
Yes, right.
But, you've had such a good show, really. I'm sure your show now is good too.
Well, thanks. And what did you like about it? The fact that there were children on it?
The fact the cartoons probably and you, I think, were kind of pretty good at funny and such.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Well, it was certainly well intended. I wanted it to be clean, and I wanted it to be educational, and I wanted it to be uplifting, and I wanted it to show them that in life the only thing that really matters is how you treat others.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
And you did a good job of it, I think.
Well, Jim, thank
I
you.
remember all this, later, I remember, all these decades later, I still remember it.
You do really?
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful? Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, that's very nice.
Okay.
Well, I think we should talk again, Jim.
Well, if you want to call me again, you can.
Yes.
You know my number.
Yes, and the same, yeah, and vice versa to you. Okay, dear.
All right. Have a nice afternoon.
Yes, and God be with you all down there.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Okay.
Bye-bye, dear.
Okay. Yep, yep.
Okay, it's a little too early for them. I'll call. How are you?
Hello, who's this?
This is Glendora.
Oh, Glenda.
How are you, Linda? Hold on just a second, honey. I'm having an audio problem.
Okay.
All right, I hear you well, dear.
Okay.
Okay, and I hear you too.
Oh, good, honey. Tell me what you remember about the SS Glendora.
Okay, well, I've jotted down a few things.
Well, good girl.
Okay, and it sort of kind of turned out into a little story. But I figured that I was probably between, 8 and 10 years old.
Yes.
When Satellite 6 was on the air.
Yes.
So being so young, I really don't have so many memories of the show. There are some things that I remember. I remember Felix's cat. And I remember the spaceship because I thought that was really cool because back then we didn't have spaceships. They were all make-believe.
Yeah.
The one thing that I remember most about you is that curly dark hair.
Yeah.
And you had a uniform that had these big epaulets on it.
Yes, right.
And those are the things that come to my mind. As mother. I think my mother wanted me in the kitchen learning how to cook and clean and things like that. So that was a concession that she made so that I could watch your show.
Oh, nice.
So those are the kinds of things that left a lasting impression. So when I saw in the paper that you were going to be in the area, 55 years later, I just had to come to see you.
Yes, you did, and that was so nice. How far did you come?
Oh, it's just from the neighboring town. It wasn't very far. But it was something that I felt that I had to do because I had such fond memories of you in the show.
Yeah, isn't that an interesting feeling, that you felt you had to do it?
Yes, exactly. Because I could have just as easily said, oh, well, what the heck? I mean, you know, that was such a long time ago. But no, it was something that I felt that I had to do, even 55 years later. And I spoke to you the last time when you called, and I think you said that you even saw it. The local newspaper ran our picture.
Yes, and you became a celebrity.
And yes, I did with all my friends and relatives anyway. You know, there is one other interesting story that developed out of that picture. I was shopping in the local Walmart a couple of weeks after the picture ran in the paper, and I was approached by a woman, and I recognized her as being a kid who lived on my street 55 years ago.
Wow.
And she recognized me in the picture.
Oh,
And here we
wow.
are in the middle of Walmart, reminiscing about watching Glendora and Satellite 6.
Really?
Really, and not only that, you're not going to believe that she pulled out her wallet and she showed me her membership card. She said, I don't know why I ever held on to it for this long. She says, I have had this in my wallet since the day I got it.
Really?
And if that just goes to show you that you and your program transcended time, even 55 years later.
Say that again, Linda.
I said that you and your show have transcended time.
Oh, transcended time.
Transcended time, right. I mean, even 55 years later, two people meet in the store and we talk about Glendora.
Yeah, that's right.
It also goes to show you that you may or may not realize that you made a lasting impression on a lot of little kids.
Oh, yes, Linda.
And for that, we all thank you.
Oh, how lovely. How very, very nice. And I appreciate that enormously.
Oh, well, you're welcome. It's the truth, or I wouldn't have said it. I really, feel that way and believe it.
And you know, Linda, there is proof of that in another way, because I would say a couple of times every week, somebody will say, didn't you have a children's program way back?
See, just like I said, you transcended time. People
Yes.
remember those things. They may not remember a lot of the details, but they remember the important things.
They carry it in their hearts, don't they?
That's right, absolutely.
And Linda, and when they say that, didn't you have a television show? And I said to them, I know how old you are. You're 68. And they say, oh, that's right.
That's right, you're about that age.
How old do you think you were when you started watching?
Like I said, I think when I figured it out, it's probably around 8 to 10.
8 to 10.
I was like kind of a little on the late side. The woman that I told you I was talking to, she was a couple years older than I was, so she remembers more than I do.
Is that so?
Like I said, pardon me?
Is that so? She remembers more?
She remembers more. Like I said, she even had your club card, your membership card in your club. So she was older than I was. So I don't remember as many particular details.
Can you imagine carrying the membership card 55 years in your wallet?
I couldn't believe it when she showed it to me. You have got to be kidding.
Oh, good. Thank you so much for imparting that to us.
Well, I thought that was a story that you might enjoy hearing.
Oh, definitely. Oh, that is a jewel.
Yes, I thought so. Yes, I
Yep.
did. Because that was absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Oh, you ought to come over sometime, honey. We'll have lunch together.
Oh, hey, yeah, you're up in New York State, right?
Yeah, actually, we went to Pittsfield yesterday. It's a really short trip. I'm in Nassau on Route 20, just about halfway between Pittsfield and Albany.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's too bad. If I had known you'd have been in Pittsfield yesterday, I would have made the...
Yeah, well,
to come
sure.
and see you.
Yes, we may possibly have another reunion on around the first Saturday of July. We may possibly have another one at the Carousel.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm sure I'll see it in the newspaper if they do. And I'll be there.
Well, is there anything else you want the public to know?
The public? Who's going to know this?
Yeah, anything else you want people to know about the SS Glendora?
Well, like I said, I'm a little bit on the young side to remember
Yeah.
a lot of details.
Well, no, you did very well. Yeah.
It's more like the feelings that I had that surrounded the show than the particulars that I can
Well,
remember.
tell us more about the feeling that surrounded the show.
Well, like I said, I was excited to come home every day and watch your show. I thought it was really cool that you were on the spaceship because we didn't have spaceships then either.
No, that's right.
And it was just, I really can't explain it. I just enjoyed it so much.
And Bobby Reno said that she said it showed us that girls could grow up and be a captain of a spaceship.
Oh, wow. See, she must be a little older than I am to have those kinds of ideas.
Oh, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I was a little too young to think that far ahead.
Yeah.
But it was just a fun time. It was just enjoyable to get to come home and just watch the show and have fun and laugh.
Oh, good.
It's a part of your childhood that you don't
Yeah,
forget.
yeah.
So what are you going to do with these interviews?
Well, we're making a documentary. We want people to know what live television was back in the 50s.
Oh, okay. Is
Because-
this something that's going to be on the air?
Oh, it will be, and it'll be on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook.
Oh, yes, YouTube. What was I supposed to put in YouTube, Glendora?
Oh, yeah, you can just go to Google and put in Glendora, and you'll see all kinds of things, honey.
Okay, I can do that.
Oh, yeah, there's just so many of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do that.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that sounds like fun. I'll be interested to see what I find.
Yeah. Linda, let's talk again.
Okay.
All right.
Hopefully with the next time when you're in Pittsfield.
Yeah, or even from Nassau, dear, I can talk to you.
Certainly, anytime.
All right. Well,
Okay.
may the Lord bless you and keep you and all you love.
And with you as well.
Thank you,
you
dear.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Charlie and Jennifer, it's Glendora, and I'm looking forward to hearing your story. I know that it will be very appealing. I'll call you later, in a few minutes. What time is it now, Charlie?
It's about 5 right now.
Oh. It's 5 right now. Folks, I really regret that I didn't audio tape or video these encounters over the year. I would say a couple a week, and that would be something like 100 a year of the young people now in their 68, 69, 70, recalling the joy and the love of the SS Glendora TV show. One happened 2 weeks ago that and it was over Facebook, and I didn't video that for you, and I should, but I'll account it to you. It was a woman, Pat Yeager, and saying that she remembered the SS Glendora on TV, and of course we know how old she is, 68. And her sister, Maureen Sellery, who was a very close friend of mine, Christian and neighbor, Maureen said, oh yeah, she certainly did. And so I sent a message back to Pat Yeager, and I said, Pat, call me up and tell me what you remember about the SS Glendora. And she emailed me back, or Facebook back, or whatever, and said, I was too young. I really don't remember. She didn't remember enough to recount, but she carried it in her heart all those years. Charlie Stickles, I called 2 or 3 times. The appointment was for 5 p.m. 15 minutes ago. So maybe he'll call again. And so far as I know, that's the only response that I've got. Mary Leoncini, and Papirio, and St. Pierre, and maybe I should get out the list someday and read it to you, of the ones who came to the reunion at the Carousel in Pittsfield, July 1st, 2017. I think we've got them all. Isn't it lovely? Doesn't God work in mysterious ways? What is the soul? It is the God that is inside of you. And it is the God that is inside of everybody. Amen. What's your Bible passage? Well, I see Jesus as how we treat others. And so the Bible passage is how we treat others today, yesterday, and tomorrow. And how about a joke? Okay, the young man who took 20 people to the movies. Why? The sign outside said 18 and under, not admitted. What is the soul? It is the God that is inside of you. And it is the God that is inside of everybody. Amen. Oh, darn it. Hello, Charles Garibaldi. This is Glendora.
Yes, Glendora. Boy, talk about being prompt. Right on the button. Hi, Glendora. How are you today?
Oh, I'm very good, and I'm so happy to be talking to you, Charles.
Well, thank you, and I'm happy to be talking with you also.
Can you?
Out of curiosity, are you in the area? Where are you calling from?
I'm in Nassau, New York. Do you know where that is, Nassau?
I don't know where it is, no.
Okay, we're about 40 minutes southeast of Troy.
Okay.
We're down on the east side of the river. You know?
Yeah, I can picture it. I can picture it. I know the map pretty well.
Yeah. And where are you, Charles? Where are you, dear?
How am I?
No, where are you? Where do you live?
Oh, Glendora. I'm in Pittsfield.
Oh, good, good, yeah.
I live here in Pittsfield.
Oh, good, good.
Yes, and that's where you're, and I'm here now, but you called it the perfect time because I have children throughout the East, and tomorrow, of course, Super Bowl day, we're heading down in the Boston area to spend the day and night with one of our sons.
Isn't that nice?
Oh yeah, it is. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So the timing for this call is perfect.
Now, Charles, tell us what you remember about the SS Glendora and Satellite 6.
Yeah, what I remember is just how much everyone enjoyed it and what a thrill it was for my siblings, of course younger than I, and we would watch it very often, and they would look forward to it for a long period of time. And I enjoyed watching it with them. It was always a fun thing to do. We had a good time watching it, had a lot of laughs, and it made us feel good at the end of the program. So it was a great program.
Oh, this is good. That was certainly its intent. That's what we intended.
Yeah, is that? And well, when you speak the truth, it's easy.
Yes.
I do remember that. It was a good time. It was a lot of fun. The kids loved it.
Yes, it was.
And look forward to it.
It was back when television was very clean, very nice.
Yeah, and how it's changed and not for the better. But you're right. It was clean and nice. The programs were perfect. They were aimed at children. Children could watch them without more parental concerns about what they were seeing.
Definitely.
That's what your program was. It was just,
Definitely.
kids loved it.
Charles, how many siblings?
Altogether, I have one older and three younger, so there were 5 of us.
Isn't that nice?
Oh yeah, it was there was a busy household and always something going on. And certainly at that time, you're right, TV was a big part of it because it was still new.
Yeah.
I think we had